Hey everyone, about to do another install on my 2023 Indian Pursuit Dark Horse. Just can't seem to get enough things put on this bike, but I think this may be my last accessory install. So I've done so many things. I think I'm gonna make a video of all the things that I've put on here because it's quite a bit, but man, it's a lot of fun. Anyway, today's May 10th, 2025, and I'm down here in South Texas. It feels really wonderful outside. Perfect day to be working in this stuffy shed of mine, which I'm gonna be cleaning up later on because it's our total wreck in here. Anyway, I'm going to be installing the Spar side lights from Ciro on my Pursuit, which is right behind me. This won't be the first time installing these because you can probably see over here on my 2019 Springfield, I've got a set of these lights right there on that trunk that I installed on the bike. And it's actually quite easy to do, but at least now I know what I'm doing, so I can do this pretty quickly for you. I already have a set of the Ciro machete lights on the bottom of my saddlebags, and they really help light up the bike on the side. But I figured, what the heck, why not put these Spar lights on the trunk too? I'm all for being visible to the cagers out there. There's just too many people aren't paying attention, so the more lights that I can put on my bikes to get their attention, to save my ass and my wife, who rides with me all the time, I think it's a wise decision to do that. There's a lot of bikers out there I see, they've got these little tiny tail lights, for instance, on the back of their bikes, and I'm like, man, nobody's gonna see that. They're just not gonna see you're gonna get rear-ended at a stoplight or something. And so anyway, I've also, on both bikes, I have the Custom Dynamics saddlebag lights, which are hugely beneficial, I think, and they look really cool. And what I like about those lights and the Ciro Spar and machete lights is they have they're grayed out. Although it shows red here, you can get a red lens if you want, but you can also get the grayed out version. So whenever you hit the brake or whatever, the turn signal, it'll turn red, and then it goes back to gray when it's off. So the cool thing is it doesn't stand out so much on your bike, especially if you want to keep it as black like on mine as possible. And on the Springfield, I mean, it's got the chrome trim on the light, the two lights, but I don't think you really notice them that much until they're activated. So anyway, I'm going to get started here and see how it goes. All right, since I already do have the machete lights installed by Ciro on my Pursuit, I had to, when I put that on, I had to buy their little controller so it would work on the bike, that the machete lights would plug into, and then that controller would plug into the wiring harness underneath the seat. But since I already have that on here, the kit, the Spar Lights kit, comes with these little splitters. There's two of them, and a little pack of dielectric grease. But the cool thing is I don't have to buy another controller since there's already one in there made by Ciro. So I'm going to be, I think this is the cable right here, and I'm going to just put that on there and into that, which is the controller wires right here on this side. So I'll plug that in, and then I'll have two, and I'll plug one or two receivers or whatever. I'll plug that into the machete light here when I take that out, and then the other one will be for the new Spar lights. So that's going to save me a little money and time. I don't have to take the seat off, but most likely if you don't have those machete lights, you're going to have to take your seat off. Everybody should know how to do that. It's pretty simple. And then get you the controller. I'll try to put the part number in there for the Pursuit, but you can find that on their website. It's pretty easy. So that's what I'm going to do next. Is I'm going to install the little splitter on there and then replug the machete light into it, and we'll put a little bit of dielectric grease though on the tips on those and on here, just so we don't have any problem with water later on. Well, as you can see there, just a little bit of dab of grease on those ends, and also on the wire that's coming out from the bike, from the controller. Just a little bit of that grease goes a long way, and just slip the cables on there. And there's the other side. Just got those wires up in there for the Spar, the machete light. So I got a little grease ready for the new Spar light once I get it installed. All right, before moving forward with removing the pad and stuff on the trunk, which we'll get to here shortly, you want to test your lights. You don't want to go and install those things on the side here, which is probably not very easy to get back off. By the way, Sunshine's my wife's road name. You want to test these lights. So I went ahead and plugged the lights into the wiring harness down here. Again, if you don't already have, like the machete lights, for instance, from Ciro, you're going to have to install underneath your seat a controller that will plug into the chain of lights to your bike underneath the seat. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of turn on everything here and see. So they definitely come on, and I'm going to check the turn signals. Now I also have a from Custom Dynamics, a controller in here underneath my seat that makes the lights flicker whenever I hit the brake. Hang on, I gotta put my little passcode in here because I don't have my key out here. All right, so let's just see real quick what the brakes do. So you see these flicker, and then they'll go solid whenever, after a few seconds. Okay, that's the Custom Dynamics controller doing that. And then we're gonna do the turn signal. Left turn, that works good. Right turn signal, everything's working good. So we'll go ahead and shut down the power and proceed with the next step of removing that pad right there. And I'm going to remove this bolt, this one, and this one for the pad. And then I'm going to take this bolt out here and this one here, and that's going to loosen up the speaker covers. And then we're going to have to also remove this bolt here, as well as, well, I've got this cup holder here. There's one underneath here. Actually, that's the bolt. So I got to take this drink holder that I made. I'm going to take that out, and then we'll go to the next step. Okay, now that I got that back pad off there, the next step is to this little piece of plastic right here. I'm not really quite sure. I think it's just to keep this from pushing all the way up, maybe. I don't know, or it just sits in a groove or something so this doesn't move around. It's really totally unnecessary. And thank goodness, because you got to cut it off. So I'm going to use, sorry, I'm shaking the camera like I always do. I'm gonna get a pair of this little pliers or whatever, and I'm gonna cut that piece off as close as I can. I can't get it all the way. That little piece of plastic sticking out there. I'm gonna cut out as much as I can with this, and then I'm going to use a file to file down like that, the rest of that, so it's nice and even. That little piece I'm gonna cut off, I want to be nice and smooth, because when we put the light on here, the cable has to go around right there, and that little piece of plastic is gonna be in the way. So we want to get rid of that. I'm gonna do that now. That's as much plastic as I could get off with the plier cutters or whatever, so I'm going to go ahead and grind that last piece down with my file. And there we go. So I just basically pulled this out a little bit and then just stuck that in here, but so I didn't touch the paint here. I pulled that plastic as far away as I could, and I just kind of rub that in there until it filed that little piece of plastic down. It's nice and smooth. Now I'm going to go do the, sorry, shaking this camera like crazy. Now I'm going to do the other side and then go to the next step. And I have that side ground down. Just make sure you don't accidentally grind this piece right here. It's also plastic. I kind of accidentally ground a little bit down. It doesn't really hurt anything, but just kind of be careful when you're smoothing that piece out that you cut that tab off. All right, the next step is to, we want to dry fit this light on here. So we want to kind of practice, hang on, I'm trying to get this wire off of here. We want to try to practice how this is going to fit on here before you adhere the stuff to it, of course, right? So just kind of play with it, you know, feel it where it grabs this little lip on the end of there. Let me show you right here. There's like a little lip, and it's going to kind of grab onto that part here. So, and then of course this top edge is going to be hitting that edge there. So just kind of, you know, get a feel for it, because once you peel that red tape off and you put it on here, it sticks. It ain't gonna be easy to pull off, and you don't want to do that anyway. So just kind of test that before you do that. And also get this wire, kind of pull it around through here before you put this on later, because then it's gonna be kind of hard to pull it through there after the fact, I think. Anyway, so the next step is to clean the surface of your trunk. I use the 90-something%, I think it's 90% alcohol to get any contaminants off of there. If you have a glossy finish, you're going to want to get your wax off if you have it. And I always use this this cleaner. I forgot who makes it, but I spray it on there, and I'm going to wipe it off with that alcohol. And like I said, go ahead and get your wire up in here, because it has to be fed that way, and get that ready before you go and attach this on there. All right, and I got it on. Just so you know my technique that I used, again, I felt the edge right here. I kind of set it at an angle and bumped it up to the top, that little lip right up there. There's a little bit of tape that kind of grabs a little bit, but that's okay. Just if you have to pull it off, put it back on, but get that part first, get it nice and bumped up against the edge up here. And once you get it lined up, then you just kind of lay the rest of it down and slowly do that to where it gets right up underneath that lip. And then you have no problem. And then just kind of hold it there for a good minute, nice good pressure, so that make sure that the tape and the adhesive is sinking into the pores of your paint job. So anyway, it's in there pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side. No point in filming that, it's basically the same thing. And then we'll go to the next step, which is routing the wires. And light number 2 is done. So now we're gonna talk about wiring up, or routing the wires to get them eventually plugged in down to your controller wires. So here's the a manual picture, actually in full color. Who would have thought? I wish Indian would do that. But anyway, you're gonna essentially just run the wire. The light is underneath here, or actually on this side of it here, and it goes across, and you can see where the that little part of the speaker cover, or that mount, that bracket, that metal bracket, that's what you want to do. There's the wire, and it's going to go fed up underneath here, and it'll come out over here, or actually right here. So that's what, sorry, I'm not holding the camera right, so it's got to come out there. So I'm going to feed it there and come out here. It helps to pull your speaker, pull that away like that, so that way you can get that wire through there, because that little piece of plastic right here is going to be possibly bump it up against the tip of the cable. Where is it? There you go. That might be a little too big to fit through there unless you pull that out. So anyway, that's that step. Okay, on the instructions, nice, beautiful, colorful instructions. You're just going to run the wire down behind the speaker grill cover, and which means you'll have to pull that away a little bit from the wall of the trunk to get the wire down in there. And it's going to come out like that between your fender and saddlebag. Okay, so basically with these bolts undone for the speaker cover, I'm able to pull this out just enough to route that wire down through, and then it comes up underneath. There's like a little space, if I can get the camera under here. I don't know, you can't really see it, but there's a little space that the wire comes out underneath the grill cover. So you'll find it. And then we're gonna route the wire down, again, between the fender and the trunk bracket, I guess. It's gonna come all the way down until it reaches the plug down here. So that's basically what I did, and I'm gonna do the other side next. Route that wire underneath here. It's gonna go down through there and then come out down here. You can see a little space right there. That's where it comes out at, just like I did that side. So that's what I'm gonna do next. All right, so on the right side, I ran the cable down, and I went underneath the saddlebag I forgot what you call these things, but you know, the thing that the saddlebag attaches to, that thingy there. But it went underneath there, and it came up underneath the crash bar, and you see all my other wires from stuff from my saddlebag lights, the machete light, and now this light. So I plugged it into the little splitter harness, and now I'm just gonna tuck all that stuff up in there, put the side cover back on, and do the other side, and I'll be done. In case you're wondering what this little thing is, this is a little, it goes down and mounts back here to hide the wires behind my seat. And the reason why there's so much space there is because I had a trunk relocation kit installed. I forgot the name of the company that makes it, but my wife rides with me all the time as a passenger, and there just wasn't enough room back there for her. It's not like she's overweight or anything, she isn't, but it's just, it was very little space for a person to sit back there compared to my Springfield, which had plenty of room. So I even had to stop using my backrest because of the fact that it was getting too cramped back there for her. So the next thing I want to do, like I said, is I'm going to run the wire for the left side, plug it in over there, like I did here, and put the screws back in, the bolts back in for the speaker covers, put the bolts back in for the, and reinstall the seat pad, back pad back there, and then I'll test everything. Okay, I am all done with this project. Those, I think they don't stand out much at all. So if you're worried about messing up the look of your bike, well, that looks pretty cool, I think. And there's those custom dynamic lights back here. They kind of blend well with the bike as well, I think. And so do those machete lights.